If the dead could speak from the grave, what would he or she say? If the dead could speak from the grave, from Adam to Eve, to Joseph, to Moses, to Noah, to Joshua, to David, to Solomon, to you and you and you, to here and I and I and I. If the dead could speak from the grave, what would they say? I always ask the question sometimes, like, hey, ma'am, sir, if you could do it over again, what would you do differently? And why? Alexander the Great, Tyler Hart, Die Hard, Shardin, Ellen G. White, Caesar, Napoleon, Herod, Waldenses. If the dead could speak, Jeroboam, Jehoshaphat, Elisha, Elijah, Naomi, Ruth, Martha, Mary, Lazarus, Tabitha, Kumi, woman with the issue of blood, woman at the well, the Samaritan. If the dead could speak from the grave, if the dead was not asleep, what would he or she say? Ask yourself this question, because we make videos here and there, and I'm hearing these songs. One of these fine days, I'm listening to Barris Hammond while I'm digging in the ground. Let me show you what I'm doing so far. I'm digging and trimming, I'm digging and trimming, digging and trimming, trying to give it a little landscaping thing, trying to make it all nice and beautify it, And in the process of trying to cut some of the plants, I'm trying delicately to cut the other ones. I told you, you never know what you're going to expect when you turn into this channel, right? And it's all, if anything you can say is consistent, it's love and it's goodness and it's kindness and it's motivational, inspirational. I may talk tough love, as I said, but nothing but good vibes coming to you. Look at the sky. Why would I want to give bad vibes in this kind of weather? Dark and burnt as I am, like roasted popcorn. God, I have a chocolate, crispy, oh meow, all of a name. Call myself the umbrella man or yellowhead. I got a name for myself. I got 100 names for myself. I want to call myself my own name, but what is my name? I am what God says I am. That's my name. So what am I? Messenger, local, crazy, good, respiratory, therapist, good man, husband, brother, cousin, friend, comrade. What am I? Do I need help or do you need help? Or do we all need help? Or none of us need help? If the dead could speak from the grave, would it have been worth it? I have many cousins. I have friends. They got involved with the wrong things. I got involved in some stuff too growing up, but by the grace of God, parents stood up and said, listen, you can't go there. You shouldn't do that. Shouldn't say that. Don't go here. Leave her alone. Don't mess around here. Stop playing around. Get out of it, okay? Just sit down, take a break, relax. Don't stress so much. If the dead can speak from the grave, oh man, what about those who have, our sons and daughters, those who may have sadly edited suicide or ended themselves, suicide themselves? Oh Lord, how many painful memories and things do we have to offer? How many things can we go back? I read the Psalms, I read stuff in the Bible that says, I've seen the righteous, and I was going through here and there, but I'm a paraphrase, and you see the rich like spreading like big, not the rich, the wicked, like big broad trees, but they don't know what's on the bottom and the root. They don't know what's when the calamity is coming. And we all have this hope that God will make things better, that everything will be made better and life anew. And so we all have this hope. There's no hope, there's no effort, there's no will, there's no deadline, and there's no time frame. People don't act, it seems like, or just, can't be lackadaisical, can't be apathetic. We got to be involved. And I told you, the flies always attack me if we are sit. If they're doing good, it's going to see it flying over my head, always trying to get me. But it's okay. If the dead can speak from the grave, would they say, I love you? Would they say, I'm sorry? Would they say, you shouldn't have gone here? Would they say, you should have said this? You should have said sorry? Would they say, forgive me? Would they say, I'm sorry? I didn't mean to go so fast. Would they say, I didn't mean to drink? I didn't mean to smoke. I didn't mean to go here. I didn't mean to touch him. I didn't mean to touch her. I didn't mean for it to go off. I didn't know it was gonna go that far. I was only taking a picture. I was only taking a shot. I didn't mean to drink. I didn't know it was loaded. I didn't know there was one bullet out of the 6 in the chamber. I didn't know it was Russian roulette. What do you call that? I didn't know I could dabble with the occult if I touched that stuff. I didn't know if I made a pact with. I want to say, I sign my soul, I give my soul over to the devil. I have some issues with that. I sign my soul to the devil. Devil can't take nothing from me that God didn't let him. God didn't permit him to touch. Here's something. If you, man, woman, are a living soul, how can the devil then take your soul if God didn't give it? Not God didn't give it, God didn't permit him. But remember, you are a living soul. So if you're alive and your soul's been taken, you're not alive. And if you're not alive, are you possessed? Are you demon walking around in human form? Because you know they can't be shapeshifters, right? Not like the old bat wings fan, smoking head, and big dark wings, and 20 pack, and walking around with a goat foot and a hoof like a jumbie or some kind of obia, or whatever name you call it. If the dead can speak from the grave, when you go to the cemetery, what do you see? If anybody ever goes there anymore. Are we so busy living we don't have time to remember anymore? Didn't God say require that which is past? If the dead can speak from the grave, what would they tell us? Not talking about AI now. I know AI got their own thing. They wish they could do that. If they start talking from the grave, that's demons talking back to you. Letting you know. So you've been warned. Don't talk to dead spirits or apparitions that may look like loved ones, or act like loved ones, or smell like loved ones. Not your loved ones. That's the devil tricking you, trying to deceive you. If the dead can speak from the grave, would they say, I didn't mean to go that far? I wish I could have done more. I didn't know it was going to end like this. If I just made one more step, I would have taken better care of my health. I would have drank more water. I would have ate better food. I would have slept more often. I could have relaxed more. I would spend more time with my family and my kids. Did you hear this song from Beres Hammond? One of these days, he said, I want to stay home and go home, spend time with my children. If the dead can speak from the grave, if the dead can speak from the grave, you all hear them sing some of the songs. They want to put you down so you can pushing up poppies or pushing up daisies. If the dead can speak from the grave, what would they tell you? I would have took my time to look at the tiny little lizard. Where I saw him here. Where the tiny lizard? I saw him here just now. Where are you? If the dead can speak from the grave, what would it say? What would he or she say? If the dead can speak from the grave. What would they tell you? You know, I could have planted more. You know, I could have had a better job. I could have made more. I'm keeping it this way because I'm trying to give you a certain image. If the dead can speak from the grave, but they said I would have not sharpened tight that way. I would not have put the car in the jack. I would not have put this car over here. I would not have messed with so many chemicals. I would not have sprayed this stuff and didn't use masks or respirators. I would not have done this. I would not have done that. Come on, if the dead could speak from the grave, what would it tell you? I would have been kinder to my wife, kinder to my children. I would have been kinder to my husband, kinder to my spouse. I would have been kinder to my partner. I would have been kinder to the girls, kinder to the boys. I would have been kinder to my neighbors. I would have been kinder to the people, the delivery, the servicemen, the garbage men, the utensil. I would have been kinder to the doctors. I would have been kinder to everybody around me. I would have been kinder to my mom, kinder to my dad. I would have had better relations. I would have talked more with my family. I would have spent more time just with the kids. I would have, come on, I can't go every single day, but I wouldn't have taken a flight. I would have taken a flight. I would have gone here. I would have taken a helicopter. If the dead can speak from the grave, would they said, I'm sorry? Would they said, oh my, I miss a lot of people. I miss a lot of people. Right now, things are hanging in the balance right now for a lot of people. Right now, as you hear this video, I just think about it. Despite all the big, beautiful clouds you see up there, all around us, people right now are fighting for their life. Babies are fighting for their life. Children are fighting for their life. Some on the table, some spread, some here, some there. People are fighting for their lives right now because they have this hope that they want more. If the dead can speak from the grave, what would it say? What would he or she say if they even have a voice? Well, there is one that did speak from the grave. I think you know him. Elohim, El Shaddai. Who is Jesus? Remember when the scribes and Pharisees were persecuting him? You know, they were saying, paraphrase. He says, hey, show us a sign. Show us a sign, I'll believe you. Show us some miracles, and I'll believe you. Show us some miracles, and I believe you. Show us some miracles, and I believe you. Everybody wants miracles, apparitions, and specialties. And when they show it to them, they still don't believe. What's the point of asking? If you could show us something, I would believe you then. He said you wouldn't believe, though, if someone was to come back from the grave and speak to you. And he gave us the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. That's why I made a video about rich people. Would it have been worthwhile to hoard the wealth that you have with knowing that people around you, fellow brothers and sisters, neighbors around you, are hungry? Farmers, is it proper for you to take anything, stipend, whatever it is, to destroy crops and good resources that can be used to feed other people. This is not a knock on farmers. It's just saying, because you are the breadbasket of this world. You make it happen. That's why I'm trying to start growing my own little garden and stuff here too, and trying to do a little thing here. It is permitted in this state. And I'll tell most everybody, please start a little garden, whether it's even if you have a little apartment, stackable plants, stackable stuff, start growing your own stuff. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you. You gotta make some moves on your own. Idleness, they always say the devil's toy. You know, and I heard this from one pastor, I think Pastor McFall, says, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. I don't know if whoever's phrase it is. Whoever it is, thank you for making it and for saying it. Thank you, Nikola Tesla, for doing your inventions of electricity and all these different experiments you did. Thank you. You know, we always look at the bad things. Why not look at the good too? If the dead can speak from the grave, they're going to be like, yo, I did it by the grace of God. Amelia Earhart, she flew across. She did it and she had a co-pilot. I kept saying, did she go by herself? Oh, she's trying to make accolades? No, but she did it with company. She did it. If people, the Wright brothers, I would say thank you for making aviation aeronautics. I would say thank you for those who flew in the planes. Thank you for those who made inventions, those who made things better. Thank you to the IAIHS. Thank you for all those who made food safer, crops safer, cars safer, land safer, chemicals safer. Thank you for doing all the good stuff. If the dead could speak from the grave, what would they say? Hey, man, you're stepping on me. Hey, you're standing on me. Hey, excuse me, miss, sir, ma'am, please remember me. Please don't forget me. If the dead can speak from the grave, those over there in World War I and II and all the wars before, I mean, Spanish wars, American wars, every war, you name it. If they can speak from the grave, what would they said? I'm scared. I'm lonely. I miss you. I'm fighting for you. I'm doing this for you. I'm standing up for you. If the dead can speak from the grave, what would they tell you? Hey, man, you have this stuff now? I got better things. I know better things could have been made. I wasn't say better things are coming, but remember I said the dead don't speak from the grave like that. The dead know not anything. According to the Bible, what I believe in the Bible, King James said that the dead are asleep. So they don't even know if you're standing on them. They don't even know if you're dead. They don't. All their love and hate is forgotten. This is sacrilege. It's not sacrilege. This is honesty and this is truth. You're asking. I'm telling you. God said it. If He said it, I believe it. Sorry. Okay. Wisdom begins with getting to know God and getting to know yourself in relation to Him. He's the standard. If the dead can speak from the grave, would life be the same as it is now or different? If the dead can speak from the grave, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. If the dead can speak from the grave, the Sino-Japanese war. If the dead can speak from the grave, the German-Russian war. If the dead can speak from the grave, Mussolini, Hitler. If the dead can speak from the grave, what would they say? UN. If the dead can speak from the grave, National League of Nations. If the dead could speak from the grave, Iraq, Saddam Hussein. If the dead could speak from the grave, George Bush and Father. If the dead could speak from the grave, Jesus Christ. If the dead could speak from the grave, what would he or she say? If the dead can speak from the grave, what would he say? If the dead can speak from the grave, what would he tell you? If the dead can speak from the grave, what would you be doing now? If the dead can speak from the grave, how would you live your life? If the dead can speak from the grave, what would you say differently? What would you do differently? How would you behave yourself? If the dead speak from the grave, what would you do in life? If the dead can speak from the grave, would you do anything differently than you're doing now? If the dead can speak from the grave, don't ever give up. Don't ever back down. Don't ever follow the devil. Don't ever believe false teachers and false people. Don't ever think it's not enough. Don't ever think it's not worth it. The dead can speak from the grave. They would say, I hope to see you on the last day. If the dead can speak from the grave, whether they hate you or they love you, they had that time. If the dead can speak from the grave, they're telling us, you need to live your life to the fullest now. Please do not repeat the same thing. Remember the rich man and Lazarus parable? If the dead can speak from the grave, say, listen, he said, please, Lazarus, go and, first he asked, if you can just dip his fingers in the water to cool him off, he's so hot. Though hell doesn't exist right now, but it's a parable, it means something more. The dead can speak from the grave, it would say something. If the dead can speak from the grave, they'll be like, hey, there's a better way to do this. If the dead can speak from the grave, the train disasters, the crashes, the planes, the Indians, the disruption, the family disruption, all these things, all the bad things that could have happened, take them all and sum it back up and fix it back up. The dead can speak from the grave, they'll be like, please, do not disobey. Please obey. Please be loving. Please be kind. Please be joyful. Please enjoy life. Please do things in moderation. Please have fun. Please give God praise. Please take care of yourself. If they can. But since they can't, you do it. If they can't, I'm on. Yeah. Since they can't, you must say, Lord, thy will be done. Because if the dead can speak from the grave, well, let's change something. Jesus did, also Moses did, also Elijah did, and the mother, well, not saying the mother, well, let's change that. Did they? Do you remember the story? Because think about it. Yeah, the YouTube video. Trying to make a video. Yeah, yeah. So if the dead can speak from the grave, then it'd be like, I know Moses, they were encouraged. What they did, they encouraged Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration. So I got to read my Bible even more. I need to read it more. They did encourage him when Jesus was there, and the disciples asked, "Can you make a tabernacle for one for you, each of you?" Jonah thought he was dead, but he didn't go in the grave. He was just symbolically in the belly of the whale and the fish. I'm gonna end it there. We're gonna catch up more. God bless. It's 15 minutes plus, but think about it. The dead know not anything. They don't have a conscience. And God is the God of the living, not of the dead. So if the dead is speaking to you and they're not speaking to you according to God's will and everything in harmony with God's word, that's not God or the Jesus or any heavenly host talking to you. I've never seen good angels impersonate any humans to come and tell you a message. One just come on and tell it straight. When they dress Mary, what did they say? Hail Mary. I didn't see anybody coming as anybody, any cousin or relative or grandfather or some mother or some child or somebody. No, straight up. God have no time to pretend to be anything. He may come to you as a burning bush or even as Balaam, as a donkey, talk to Balaam and say, hey, why are you doing this to me? Even that donkey can speak. If God can make a donkey speak, trust me, he can do a lot more. So why are we talking to the spirits, doing seances and necromancy and stuff? That's going to get yourself in trouble. That's going to get yourself lost. I don't want to be involved in that. So I don't want to be involved. So please, anybody with necromancy, keep it out. Keep it out of the movies. Keep it out of it. Don't dabble with your culture. Put yourself on Satan's enchanted ground, and that's death waiting for you. Okay? Don't mess with it. If the dead can speak from the grave and tell you, live a better life, live a good life, stay in God's track, and don't start beating and smiting the servants thinking that God delays is coming. His promises are sure. And just because he may delay, doesn't mean he's slack concerning his promises. Remember that. God bless you.